Engel, Linda Bellhorn, Joey Hand. Thank you guys so much for joining us for the Orange Summer Stories program. We are talking about Stephen Ministries today and hopefully sharing a bit more about this ministry area with the church and what you can learn from it. Can you guys give us just a brief overview of what Stephen Ministry is?
It's a caring ministry that helps people in a crisis. It's to help person going through a difficult time. And that could be anything from a death of loss of a loved one, job, divorce, even a positive thing such as having a child can be very stressful. So anytime, any kind of life adjustment, we could help somebody walk through that. It's a Christian friend. We are not psychologists. We're a layperson that helps somebody, we're there to listen and to have God work through us with His presence.
I think it's cool to know that it's a lay-led ministry. I think there's a lot of emphasis on, what can the clergy do for the laity, but to have a ministry area where the laity looks after the laity, I think is very important. For just the general health of the church, but also to foster those relationships.
The minister can't be everywhere, and so we're the hands and feet of the minister. Actually, of Christ.
No, but I think that's a great way to put that. Those blind spots, because they exist. No minister can be everywhere at one time, and someone somewhere is going to feel like, hey, I really wish someone could just reach out and talk to me.
I feel like, kind of what you were saying before in a way, Josh, that I think we're all ministers, whether we like it or not. We are the hands and feet of God. And for my career as a physician, I have people in my office almost every day who are in tears from whether it's their physical condition or just what they're going through in life. And so whether I liked it or not, I was being a minister. And so I feel like the training just definitely equipped me to do that, much better, so that you really were caring for them.
Can you talk a little bit about the spiritual growth that you have from serving in Stephen Ministry?
I think one of the things I've learned from the Stephen Ministry training was part of that was about the spiritual disciplines. And in order to help others, you kind of need to be disciplined yourself and have a deep relationship with God. So it challenged me to deepen my prayer life. And so I think not only just being more faithful in intercessory prayer, but if you would ask me to pray with someone who was grieving, I would want to run the opposite way, which is like Jonah, like run to Nineveh, run the opposite way. And so I think just some of the training helped me be more comfortable with doing things like that in a more caring way. Not that I wouldn't pray individually to God, but anyway, I think just deepening my own spiritual life as far as my relationship with God, so that you are able to be caring and help others.
Excellent.
And that was one of the things that drew me to it as well, was the training to help care for others, and so that I could grow my own, not my spiritual life, but my interactions with other people, and grow my empathy and ability to pray for others. That's an area of growth for me. So.
I also want to stress the importance of the Christian community. We as Stephen ministers, as a group, support each other. We become each other's Stephen ministers in our caring relations when we care for other people. And it becomes the body of Christ. And you see God working in other people's lives, and it even validates your faith even stronger. You start to see those miracles that we sometimes ignore.
Joy, I like how you talked about kind of the training, and I think that's a great segue into the next question. Could you guys talk a little bit about what that training is to become a Stephen minister?
The training consists of, both, some lecture type activity where we're just, reading or listening, and then we have exercises where we apply it. So we get together in groups of, 2 or 3 or 5, and, apply what we've learned within the group, doing some role play. So I found that particularly helpful in one particular instance. I remember I was working with another person from our church, and something just really clicked in that particular case. A Bible verse sprung to mind that was particularly apt. And that's when I thought, well, maybe this is, maybe I am better suited for this ministry than I thought. I'm still not positive, but that exercise was very helpful. And like I said, when it really clicked there, it both surprised me and the person I was working with at how well it worked.
I would say also, I enjoyed the training. Again, it was several evenings for about several months, and we had 2 longer Saturday sessions. But it was interdenominational. We had some Catholic churches and a Lutheran church, as well as some other Methodist churches. So it was nice to see the different perspectives of some of the churches who had already had the caregiving ministries ongoing for quite a while. Just the opportunity to have different leaders give the lectures and the talks. And again, the small groups were very instrumental with kind of helping figure things out. But I enjoyed the interdenominational aspect and just getting to meet other people. And it were just, some of the things you would think a lecture on listening, well, don't we all know how to listen? And well, after hearing that, clearly, no. You just, think about all the times where you are multitasking. If you're not literally multitasking, your brain is multitasking, but you're not really listening to the person. You're thinking about what you need to do after you're listening to the person. And so just to realize how much of a ministry it is to truly listen and devote that time to caring and listening to that person as if you were Christ and offering them that compassion. So anyway, it was, some of the things were profound as far as just simple concepts, but just taking it to a different level that you weren't really aware of.
So like you mentioned learning different skills through these continuing ed programs. Have you been able to utilize those skills in different ways, not just in giving care to people?
One of the things that interested me about Stephen Ministry was when we had a similar interview being done to promote the last training that Jenny did, Barry Kendall got up and said, that it's not necessarily something you need to continue with. You may just benefit from the training and use that training in other aspects of your life and other aspects of your ministry. And that's what particularly appealed to me, because several years ago, Jenny had approached me earlier and said, would you be interested in being a Stephen ministry? And while she did not describe it as the hands and feet of Christ, this hand took his feet and ran quickly in the other direction. That's something that I was really not interested in. And I've been, I've been active in the administrative portion of the church on finance committee and church council, and I've been active in teaching Sunday school and Bible studies. But Stephen ministry was not something that I thought I was called to, but it continued to nag at me. And so when they promoted again and Barry gave that out, then it hooked me in. Because I thought this is an area in which I need to grow. So I think it has benefited in the sense that, my listening is better, my ability to pray and empathize with others is better. I mean, just even in my personal, family interactions, I've noticed a difference, particularly during the training. I could see some growth there. Just in the interactions with my wife, for instance.
I think it's interesting. I think I would be just the opposite. That I think the second it was announced, it was like, let's jump on this bandwagon. I knew I needed the training. I felt it was something I do every day, but that I needed to be stronger. But I do feel like just because we don't have as many formal care receivers, just for that reason alone, I do use it primarily at work. I think that's my biggest utilization. And I just feel the presence of God in the exam room at times when I am ministering to people. And I just feel that's when everything comes together with whatever meager gifts and talents God has given me, that is when he uses me. But I do also, just even with coworkers at work, I think it's primarily with patients at work, with coworkers, family and friends, just, you catch yourself like not listening, and it'll just, the training come to mind. I'm like, oh, I'm not listening. Like some of my sister will be talking to me, and I'll not be paying attention. I'm like, I really need to listen to her. So it just is amazing how all relationships in your life, I think you do end up utilizing it. And even the, like, having boundaries, I think that was one I think I was never aware of, but just certain relationships, that would come to mind, like, oh, I need to have a boundary with this. I'm doing too much all the time, just need to, kind of set some limits. So there are just a lot of useful concepts that were, utilizable in all aspects.
Yeah, that book, Speaking the Truth in Love, the first time I read it, I thought, wow, this is amazing. I wish I'd known this 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Teaching how to set good boundaries and learning how to say no. It's okay to say no, and just learning how to say no. And that was a real eye opener for me way back. But it, just like both of them said, that it really has helped in my personal life in trying to, especially being a nurse, I try to fix things. And so it's taught me that, and I'm still working, God's working on me, that I don't have to fix it. I have to let it go and just give it over to him. And that sometimes gets the pressure off of you, because that causes a lot of anxiety within yourself when you try to make it work.
Are there any specific examples of things that stick out to you that you would want other people to know about your time serving? I would love to hear those.
I think mine is sort of funny. That's what I alluded to. It's not really funny, but the first care receiver I ever had, it had to be over the phone. It was a time of acute crisis, and she needed prayer. She needed someone to pray with her. And I said, oh, this is really funny, Lord. I am not comfortable praying with people. And the first care receiver, someone in the middle of a huge crisis, and she needs someone to pray with her. And so I did. I mean, what can you do? You pray for God to be with you as you're praying. And to this day, she will still say, you were my angel of mercy in my time of need. I just remember that prayer. And so anyway, God was with me then, because it was not something, that I do all of the time, but I just thought God had a sense of humor to have the first care receiver need an acute pray with me mode. And it's like, oh, this is not my gift. But at any rate, God can use you despite yourself, right?
I knew you had it in you. I do have probably one particular person that was, I had done, it was somebody outside, and I had talked to her about maybe sharing a little bit about her, and she said, okay. But her family business was having problems, and it was really hard for her because it was a successful business. And so she struggled, and this took a long time. Let's maybe from 2012 to maybe 2 years ago. And things just didn't work out, but I kept telling her, God's got something else up his sleeve. And now she's going to divinity school. And it's stressful for her because she's also trying to work, and she's close to my age. So, we talked about it and we laughed. We said, well, God's got a sense of humor. So I think she wants to do pastoral care. I don't think she wants to be an ordained thing, but she's not sure exactly where God wants her to, but we're praying for that. So that's one of the wonderful things that was a long time. That was like a Joseph thing, where it took a long time, but God prevailed. And so he will prevail sometimes when you don't think he is, but he will.
Jenny, if there are people who want to get more involved with Stephen Ministry, who should they talk to, and when can they expect the next training to be?
They can call the church office and they'll let me know, and I will call them back. or email them back, whatever they prefer. And I'll answer questions for them. And if they're interested in applying, I can send the application. There are some new guidelines as far as recruiting people now. They want in the application, they want to do have some references. They said at least 2 references and a background check. That's something new. And so we'll do that, and for probably legality reasons, to protect the ministry and protect the care receivers, and so I hate to say that we have to do that, but we live in a world that we do nowadays. So that will be the steps that we'll follow, and then we'll probably do a little interview too, and it won't be just me, it'll be with somebody, another person, and that's just more of a formality. It's mainly to answer any questions that you may have, and to help you decide if this is really what you want to do. It's not to interrogate you, but to strengthen the validity of the call that you feel led to do.
Excellent.
I want it to be a positive experience, not a frightening experience.